Hello, thanks for joining us once again on Punters Inside Run. We're right in the guts of spring. We've got Group 1 racing at Caulfield, also Group 1 racing at Rosehill in Sydney. Mick Sharkey joins me as always, coming off another successful weekend of tipping. Shark, hello. Caulfield looks like a very interesting day. A few shorties.
Hey, Matty, yeah, there are some shorties, aren't there? I think a few of them, or a couple of them, look like they'll just go and win. You know, horses like Amenable and Red Card, but I think there's some others there that there might be an element of risk.
All right, let's get stuck into the Group 1 racing first up. Let's start with the Underwood Stakes. Alligator Blood on the quick backup. Are you with or against?
Well, I think he's probably one of few genuine weight for age horses in the race, isn't he? You know, you look through this field and a lot of these are handicappers trying to head to a Caulfield Cup path or potentially come back a notch and go to the 2-rack at a mile. So we know what Alligator Blood is. He's such a tough Group 1 class on-speed horse. Anywhere from 1,400 to 2,000 metres, he's capable of running well. He won the race last year. Obviously, it was at Sandown, different scenario at Caulfield. But I think Ollie will be looking to get hold of this race early and stalk the leader if it's Lindemann, or even make the running if Lindemann doesn't want to go on with Hugh Bowman. He will be devilishly hard to beat here, Alligator Blood. But I just wonder, Matty, if a horse like Salcombe, who was so good in that Heatherly, whether he can make that leap to weight for age class. You know, that was such an exciting win first up. I think he's the value in the race at $8.
Do you give Without a Fight a chance? The horse we've seen twice in Australia for 2 wins?
Yeah, look, his 2 wins in Queensland were dominant, weren't they? And you just put a circle around him for races like the Caulfield Cup, and I know the stable has got one eye on the Cox Plate as well. It will be a monstrous win if he can win this first up, given horses like Alligator Blood have got 2 runs on him. You know, Tuvalu's third up into this race. They're proper 1,600, 1,800 metre weight for age horses. Without a Fight's coming off a break. He's first up with a jump out and a trial under his belt. If he wins this, he should be raging favourite for a Caulfield Cup, and arguably should be favourite with Romantic Warrior for a Cox Plate. You know, if he's going that well that he puts this field away, you know, he is the horse I think we'll all be talking about come Monday.
Yeah, I think it's a race with lots of stories. So Alligator Blood, the one to beat, Salcombe, the value. A couple of other group races at Caulfield. The one that interests me is the Guineas Prelude. Stepardi's answered every challenge on the way through so far. I can't see why it can't answer this challenge as well.
Look, I'm a little bit soft on Stepardi. I think that Moonee Valley win, yeah, he got the job done, but they absolutely walked. He sat outside the leader. When the sprint went on, he went, you know, when he wanted, basically. Whereas others in the race, particularly Centify, who I think was probably a better run, was out the back, had to take his medicine early, get going earlier to get into the race, and then was taking ground off Stepardi before the line and through the line. So of the 2 out of that race, I'd back Centify at the odds in this race. I'm not saying Stepardi can't win. I just think at the price in this tougher test, it is a genuine test for the horse. And at the price, I want to play around him. Centify, really hard to beat. V8, he just bullocked his way through in the McNeil and won really well. Looked a bit like me after a holiday up north, Matty. He was carrying a couple of extra kegs to my eye, V8, and I think he'll trim up nicely for this. He's a horse with a turn of foot, and he can sit box seat, which is so important. And I thought the price was wrong on Southport Tycoon when early markets went up. Okay. Still sitting there at double figures. He's a raw talent. It wouldn't shock me if he won this race. For me, as a bet, I'm backing Centify. I'm backing V8. I'll just take on Stepardi a little.
Yeah, V8's well named as a horse, isn't he? He's a brute of a thing. But anything else we should be backing at Caulfield? I've got one in race 4. Where's your best?
Look, I think race 6, number 10, Amenable, I think he'll win. And I think Bandersnatch runs second. So if you want to play exactors, maybe play that way. I really liked race 5 in the Jim Maloney Stakes, number 4, Zuccarette. I thought Zuccarette looked a really good bet each way in that race.
I like Yellow Sam in race 4. Was caught 3 wide in that race behind Nunthorpe and had no real reason to be still coming again on the line. Did so, gets a better draw and meets Nunthorpe much better at the weights, down to just 52 kilos with the claim for Wimmera Pin. So Yellow Sam will be the one I'll be backing there. Let's move across to Rosehill. We've got the Golden Rose. The Run to the Rose, is it the right form race?
Well, It may well be for those that we've seen, but then you throw in the Golden Slipper winner first up here, Shinzo, off some trials that you would argue were, are form trials. He was very good behind Lindemann and Princess Grace, who we've seen be super competitive at Group 1 level in Melbourne. And then he was beating Zaki and going global and the other good horses in that race. And I thought he looked fantastic to the eye there. He looked to me as a 2-year-old to be a horse that would improve into his 3-year-old season. He had the measure of Cylinder as a 2-year-old. I think he'll have the measure of Cylinder again at 3. I'm backing Shinzo here. And it would be remiss of me, Matty, if I didn't stick fat to some degree with Charm Stone, who's been so good.
Yeah, you must. Yeah, I'll probably have a 2-bet strategy. I'll probably back Shinzo, as you said, but I'll also have something on Militarized with Joe Moreira taking the ride. I think that out of the run to the Rose, that's the horse I want to be in that race. Again, some other some group races. Anything you want to play with in Sydney as far as some group races concerned? I like Waterford in the Shannon Stakes.
Yeah, really hard to beat Waterford in that race for sure. Williamsburg, I thought, had some hope in that. Race 6, probably the best of the day, I think, is Espiona. She was great first up.
Yep.
Apart from a tissue and Zigotcha looks just a little off her game this time around. I think Espiona's the one. And then you roll over to race 9, a horse that we've been with a couple of times already, Matty, number 9 at Charlton Lane. Just about a nose inferior of Ryanberg at Caulfield. It was like a dagger to my heart when they hit the line. It was going to be.
It looks like a pretty good form race, though, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. And he's well placed in this race, back to a benchmark sort of situation. I think he'll just be winning that.
Well, I've got Waterford, Espiona, Charlton Lane. So, again, we're on the same page, especially when it comes to Sydney. Mate, that's all we got time for this week, mate. Anything else we should be betting on?
Keep an eye on Flemington on Sunday, Matty. We've got the Oaks and Derby trials. I think Ambassadorial at $9 is a really good each-way play in that Derby trial.
Thank you, Shark. Talk to you next week.
Sure will.
And thank you once again for joining us here on Punters Inside Run. Enjoy the weekend. It's a fantastic weekend of racing, as Shark mentioned. It goes all the way through to Sunday. Happy punting.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.